But let's focus first on the big story. And I want to start today with two that redefine irony in a way in this country at a time of demonetization. On the one side, you will see images of a big fat wedding that's going to take place in Karnataka. Mining baron, former tainted minister Janardhan Reddy is going ahead with a grand wedding for his daughter. On the other, you can see long queues of the common man of this country waiting for cash from ATMs and the banks. And I'm going to ask these questions as I see these two contrasting images. Will the black money crackdown only affect and inconvenience the Aam Aadmi and the middle classes? And will the super rich get away again? What about the battle against crony capitalism? Okay, those are the two images that you will see in my show tonight. But let's turn to first everything you need to know about what's happened today in Narendra Modi's move against demonetization. The Prime Minister has said, or the government has said, you can now use old 500 and 1000 rupee notes till November 24th. Old notes will be accepted at hospitals, medical shops, petrol pumps, water and power bills, rail, air tickets. Your ATM withdrawal limit has now been increased from 2,000 to 2,500 per day. Exchange limit at banks has been increased to rupees 4,500 per day. Cash withdrawal limit has now been increased from 20,000 to 24,000 per week. The daily limit of 10,000 per day stands withdrawn. Separate queues for elderly, differently abled at banks. The last date for submission of your annual life certificate for pensioners has been extended to the 15th of January 2017. And the big political story is now the opposition parties are hoping to gang up in a way on the issue of demonetization. But away from all this, over the last few days, I have focused on urban India, primarily on ATM problems that you, the viewer, many of you are going through. But what of those in remote villages of this country? How is the rural economy coping up with the demonetization move of the government? Remember, many of them don't even have access to ATMs. How are they dealing with it? It's my top story today.
As cash crunch continues, people across India have been left in the lurch. And those in some of India's most remote areas have been hit the hardest. While banks have always been inaccessible, these days collecting cash has become next to impossible.
1000 और 500 का नोट बंद हो जाने के कारण दुकान में भी जाने से नहीं ले रहे हैं, सामान खरीदने में दिक्कत हो रहा है।
बाजार में बहुत समस्या का सामना करना पड़ रहा है। इसमें साग, भाजी, नमक, तेल, दवाई वगैरह हमें कुछ नहीं खरीद पा रहे हैं।
In South Karnataka's Kundapur, the wait for cash is endless. In rural areas of Madhya Pradesh, Jhabua, where banks and ATMs are far off, the people are readying for a long haul.
हमारा यहाँ बैंक भी नहीं है और डाकदार नहीं है, कोई सुविधा बिल्कुल नहीं है। ढिंगला पैसा हम दिन भर झब्बा जाए, पारा जाए।
अभी 7 दिन से बंद है 500,000 के नोट, जिससे हमें धंधा पूरा चौपट हो गया।
While the people in urban areas suffered, those in India's remote-most corner have fallen back on the age-old practice of credit and barter to tide over the situation. Bureau Report, India Today.
While rural India struggles, let's look at urban India, where people continued today to queue up outside ATMs for cash. Many banks were closed today. In fact, all banks were closed today due to Guru Purab. But there were still a lot of people who didn't mind enduring inconvenience for some time. The queues, they claim, are getting shorter. Take a look.
It was an unconventional Monday morning for the national capital. Usually where people are seen jostling for their everyday activities, long serpentine queues replaced that scenario. Although bank branches remain shut due to Guru Nanak Jayanti public holiday, ATM machines added to the misery of the people. They remained non-functional as there was no cash transfer, forcing people to go on a wild ATM chase. I'm standing outside the ICICI Bank in central Delhi right now. People have been lining up here since 5 this morning, waiting patiently, but the bank staff is reconfiguring the ATM, stocking up on cash, and this problem has persisted in the past few days. Situation was strikingly similar in Mumbai as well, where ATM shutters had notices announcing a stipulated time for any bank service.
I'm standing at Parel location where at least 4 to 5 ATMs are present, all the private companies, but still the ATMs are closed.
We travelled to Tamil Nadu as well and saw troubled customers who were waiting in queues for hours.
It's Monday in Chennai, and what you see is this crowd is in front of Indus Bank and Bank of Baroda at Beach Railway Station in Chennai. Hundreds of people standing on either side of the door. They are waiting here for a long period from 10 a.m. in the morning, and everybody have to wait for at least 1.5 hours in the queue to get the money.
Despite the tumultuous situation outside banks, there is a section of people who have hailed the drastic move and are willing to sacrifice a little as they feel it will eradicate black money.
Yeah, this is a short-term pain for the public. Ultimately, it is going to help the Indian economy a lot.
मोदी जी ने ये जो देश हित में बड़ा स्टेप लिया है, सारी पब्लिक उनके साथ में है. पब्लिक थोड़ी परेशानी हो रही है. एंड में तो कुछ पता पड़ेगा देश के लिए कि अच्छा है कि बुरा है.
India Today had done a reality check on the security personnel and vault officers who are working round the clock to accommodate valid currency in every ATM. There, we found the reason behind the diminished capacity of the ATM machines.
You can see 4 trays here. There are 2 trays for 500, 1 for 1000 and 1 for 100. Why there is a dearth of my cash now at the moment? Because these 3 trays are not functional. Only this tray which you see on your screen, the 100 rupees tray, is working with 220 notes inside this tray. Even though the government has taken step and has also assured its citizens that within 10-12 days everything will be resolved and things will fall in place, but they need 15 days to change the entire setup. Will that be given, and how soon will that be resolved? With camera person Rajiv, this is Parveena, Delhi, India Today.
So ATMs remain a problem. India Today spoke to the State Bank of India's chairman Arundhati Bhattacharya on demonetization. She said people shouldn't panic. The bank, she says, are trying their best to deliver the cash as soon as possible.
Queues are getting shorter. Again, I don't believe that the queues are not getting shorter, and our figures tell us this. From Saturday to Sunday, there was a reduction of 10%. From Sunday to today, and I'm talking only in the states that are open, I'm not taking all India numbers. In those states, there is a reduction of 25% today, up to 5 p.m. So I believe the queues are actually getting shorter. People are getting less panicky. They are not worrying so much. ATMs have just started dispensing, some of them, 2,000 rupee notes. As these 2,000 rupee notes come in, the ATMs will stop getting dry. They're getting dry now because everybody is drawing only 100. So a lot of notes have to be given to a single person. So not many persons can be actually serviced. Once the number of notes per person comes down, the ATMs will go dry at longer intervals, it will not go dry so fast. And as people realize that ATM mein paisa hai, aapki jitni bhi panic hai, all the panic that you are seeing, it will come down.